Hey guys, it's Olivia and I'm back with another video. So I know I'm a little bit late. I know that this show was all the rage a couple of weeks ago, but I'm talking about it now, okay? I did watch it when it first came out and I have so much to say that in this video, I can only talk about the ending of one episode and the beginning of another. I can't even talk about a whole episode because that would take me way too long. I have way too much to say and I have finally collected my thoughts. So now is the time that I am going to talk about The Ultimatum. So to give a quick premise of the show, there are 6 couples and in each of these relationships, one of the people has given an ultimatum, basically saying, marry me or we're gonna break up. So they go on this show to experiment having a relationship with a different person in hopes that it'll make them realize, oh no, I actually want to be with the person that I came with. So a quick rundown of the couples this season. There's Ray and Zay, April and Jake, Lauren and Nate, Madeline and Colby, Randall and Shanique, and Alexis and Hunter. But as I said, people are like swapping. So that's why it gets like kind of confusing. Like, oh, I thought you were with her, but now you're with her and all this stuff. But as I said, I've collected my thoughts for this video. So I'm going to try and tell it as coherently as possible. So today we're just talking about one main guy, but since everybody in the mama is dating everybody, then I have to pull in other people from the season in order to talk about this one guy. Does that make sense? Okay. So essentially, we're going to talk about the ending of episode 2 and the beginning of episode 3. So they've gone through the dating process. So there's 6 guys, 6 girls, and all the guys are dating all the women except for the one that they came with, and all the girls are dating all the men except for the one that they came with. So each person has 5 new people to date and figure out who they want to be like their trial spouse for a 3-week period, right? So they've gone through all that drama. That's not relevant right now. And now we're at the point where they're going to choose who they want to spend their 3 weeks with. And so essentially the way this works is if you pick someone and that person picks you, then yay, congratulations, you're going to spend 3 weeks together. But if you pick someone and they don't pick you, then whoops, whoopsie daisy, guess this experiment didn't work out for you. So this gets so messy, and the person that I want to focus on in the choosing process is Nate. And okay, before I start talking about him, in order to ensure that no one can come for me, in order to cover all my bases, I am strictly talking about the version of Nate that was presented to the audience, okay? So I don't know him. I don't know what he's actually like. I'm just speaking about how the edit made him look. So if the assumptions I'm making are incorrect about the actual man, I'm sorry. I'm just talking about what happened in the show. Okay? Okay. So it's time to pick who you want to be with. And in order to end up on this 3-week vacation, you have to pick someone who also picks you. So throughout this week where they're like hanging out, dating each other, blah, 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 Nate feels the strongest connection with Shanique. So he wants to pick her. And the reasons he gives are she has a fire in her, she's determined, these are qualities that he's attracted to. So like during this choosing process, it's not like everyone just stands up, says who they want, and then sits down. Like you're allowed to have a little bit of crosstalk. So before they've chosen, Nate talks about the qualities he likes in her.
She has like a fire in her, you know? She's just a determined person, and it's a cool, rare trait to be able to see.
And then Shanique also states something she likes about Nate. She says that she was able to open up to him, which is something that typically takes her a while to do. And she says, and this is very important, she says that through her like week-long conversations with him, she thinks he would make a good husband and father Father being the very important word here. So a little bit of background information. Nate gave his girlfriend Lauren the ultimatum, basically saying that he will only consider marrying her if she wants to have children. So Nate wants children and Lauren at this time of filming does not. So he basically says, you have to want kids by the end of this experiment or peace, we're breaking up. So when Shanique is hyping him up and saying like she sees him being a good father, which is something he wants to be in the future, Nate starts feeling nice about himself, okay? And while Shanique is talking about him, she gets a little bit choked up, like she's about to choose him.
We have that relationship where he asks me like, how are you feeling today? And I think that's important to do for other people. And it's nice to have someone do it for you too, you know?
So he's feeling like, oh, I'm gonna choose her and she's gonna choose me and me and Shanique are gonna have our little 3-week ting. But then we cut to Shanique and she starts talking about how she had a connection with Nate, but she also had a connection with Zay. So then ultimately, Shanique ends up choosing Zay. And then Nate is like, are you kidding me? Like, you didn't pick me? Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me?
This is how I view Nate. Once again, just my opinion. He views himself as like the best thing since sliced bread. All the gal them are gonna want him. So he goes onto this show thinking that everybody and their mama is gonna wanna pick him and no one is gonna wanna pick Lauren, which is then gonna make Lauren realize, oh, Nate's the best I can get, so I might as well have his babies. That's my opinion. That's the way I see this situation. So he's expecting all the galdom to be all over him. However, his first choice, Shanique, chooses Zay instead. And Zay ends up choosing Shanique. So that's set. That's locked in stone. Zay and Shanique are going to be spending 3 weeks together. So now Nate has a backup plan because he didn't only go on dates with Shanique. He went on dates with other girls too. So there's other girls he had a genuine connection with, which is fine. That's fine. So his next choice is April. So April is a woman who, up until this point, the main thing she's been talking about is having kids. Like, she wants to be a mother, which is something that Nate is looking for in a woman because the only thing he's ever talked about is being a father. So as I said, you're allowed to have a little bit of crosstalk before you make your ultimate decision. So during this crosstalk, Nate starts to talk about how the only reason he gave Lauren the ultimatum is because she doesn't want to have kids.
There's really one thing preventing us from taking the next step. It just so happens that that one thing for me is huge and all-encompassing. Having kids and growing a family and having that as a priority. Having someone that equally wants it just as bad as you, that's really important to me. So a lot of the qualities that I see that would make a good wife are hand in hand with qualities that show you as being a mom.
So he literally says, he sees the same qualities in a good wife that he sees in a good mother. So based on what he just said, he doesn't see Lauren being a good wife because she doesn't want to be a mother. Based on what he said. I'm not saying I agree. I'm saying that's what I heard. Those are the words that came out of his mouth. He literally says the one thing we can't agree on is huge and all-encompassing, and it's having children. This is going to come up later. And he also goes on to say that because of both him and April's want to have children, he feels like they're probably closest to identical people.
April and me are probably the closest to being like identical people, I think, out of anyone that I've met here.
Like, he is really pushing him wanting to be a father. Once again, this is a very important point. But then guess what? April ends up choosing Hunter. And then there's just Nate. The camera just pans over to Nate and he just has this like angry, pouty face on.
I choose Hunter.
Like, oh my gosh, the next girl I was gonna pick also doesn't want to pick me. So now Nate is like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna end up leaving here alone. Like, no, I need to find someone else. As I said, we're not really talking about other couples, but prior to April and Nate's exchange, Madeline and Randall had chosen each other. So now that little factoid is relevant. So Nate just gets rejected by his first two choices. So then he whispers across the table to Madeline, who has already chosen Randall, and he's like, I'm gonna choose you. And it's like, everyone's just looking at him weird because he's not very subtle with his whispering. He's not a very good whisperer. So then, like, Madeline's looking at him weird, like, bruh, I already chose someone. And then Randall's looking at him weird, like, yeah, I'm the one she just chose. Like, what do you mean you're going to choose her? You can't choose someone who's already been chosen. Like, bruh, do you not know the rules of the show? So he's just, like, scrambling at this point, like, oh my gosh, no one's picking me. I have to have contingency plans for my contingency plans. And then now it's Hunter's turn to speak, to respond to April to see if he chooses her. But then Hunter chooses Alexis. And if you listened to my intro introducing the couples, you will know that Hunter showed up with Alexis, which is not what's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to choose the person you came with. You're supposed to choose someone else. But he chooses Alexis, and essentially at the beginning of episode 3, he ends up proposing to Alexis, and everyone is happy for them, cheering for them, blah de blah. Hunter's basically saying Alexis is the one who gave him the ultimatum, and through this 1 week of dating other girls, he realized he doesn't want to wait to go through the whole experiment. He's already figured out what he wants, and he wants Alexis. Good for them. Love that. Go be happy. But then there's still some people who need to get coupled up. There's still 2 more people left who haven't made a decision, which is Colby and Lauren. So Lauren is Nate's original partner, and now it's Colby's turn to choose. So he chooses Lauren, not because she's the only one left, but if you watch the show, like, they genuinely had a connection. So even if she wasn't the only one left, he was going to choose Lauren anyways. So Colby chooses Lauren, and then Lauren is about to make her decision, and we don't get to hear Lauren's decision. But can I just say that I'm 99.99999% sure that she was going to choose Colby, and then they were going to have their, like, 3-week vacation. But anyways, we never get to hear Lauren's answer because Nate decides to propose. And literally, if you see the difference in the reaction between Hunter's proposal to Alexis and Nate's proposal to Lauren, it is night and day. Everybody and their mama was so happy for Hunter and Alexis, clapping, crying. And then when Nate proposes to Lauren, everyone's just like that's the facial expression everyone's making. Like, if you look at Vanessa Lachey, she's like what? Like, her face, she's the host of the show. She's like, what is going on? Like, no one was happy for them. And the reason, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what I think happened. You know how a few minutes ago I said that the way I perceive Nate is that he thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread? To elaborate a little bit, I believe he went on the show thinking all the gal them are gonna love me, and the guys aren't going to want to be with Lauren because she's a woman who doesn't want children. Like, as if that's like some horrible thing. Like, not every woman wants to have children, and that's fine. But anyway, so he's thinking he's gonna get all the gal dem and she's not gonna get any of the guys, right? But now he just got rejected 3 times in a row, back to back to back. Like, boom, boom, boom. 5 minutes apart. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Like, his ego has been completely turned around in like 10-15 minutes. Okay? And now his girlfriend, who he thought maybe wouldn't get chosen, has just been chosen. And he realizes that she's going to respond positively to the man who just chose her. So he's like, I went in here thinking I would be hot stuff, and it turns out that my girlfriend is the hot stuff. Like, he gives the ultimatum. She has to change her mind or I'm leaving. But now he's realizing that he's the problem. She's not the one that needs to change her mind. There are people out there who would be okay to be with a woman who doesn't want to have children. So he's out here thinking, oh, she's going to realize that I can find another woman, so she better fix up and then do what I want. And then realizing, boy, you're not that desirable. Sorry. So now he proposes to Lauren just so that she might not find something better. Like, let me put it this way. If he had chosen Shanique and Shanique had chosen him back, he wouldn't have cared what Lauren did. He only didn't want Lauren to go with Colby because he wasn't going to get to go with anyone. So he didn't want his girlfriend to go have this experience because he wasn't going to have that experience, because he didn't get chosen and she did. He wanted her to go on this show to basically be like, girl, I'm your only option, just me, so you have to say yes to my ultimatum, only to find out that no, she has tons of other options. You're the one who doesn't have other options, sir. So he's realizing, oh, she might actually find someone who won't give her an ultimatum and who will just let her be as she is. So I better propose now before she finds out, before she has that experience. Like, he literally says, why did I come here if, like, my girlfriend is gonna leave with the big cheese Colby?
I'm listening to Colby choose Lauren, and it's stressing me out, because why did I come here if I'm gonna end up having big cheese Colby live with Lauren for 3 weeks?
He didn't expect her to end up with a potentially good guy. Later on in the show, we find out that, like, Colby's not all bad, but whatever. At this point in the show, Colby, to me, came across as like a pretty decent guy, which means that's probably how he came across to the other cast of the show. So it's like he sees Colby as like a good stand-up guy, and now he's seeing like, oh wow, my girlfriend can actually go out and find a better guy. Guess I better snatch her up before she gets the chance to do that. And in his proposal, he says this.
I've learned through this that I don't have a family without you. And as long as I spend the rest of my life with you, that's all I want.
So let's back it up a minute. Let's back it up like 5 minutes ago. After Shanique chooses Zay, he moves on to April, and he's going on this whole speech about how he loves Lauren, but the only thing they can't see eye to eye on is having children, and that is a huge thing that is all-encompassing for him, and that's just something he can't compromise on.
Huge and all-encompassing.
5 minutes later, oh, it's okay, you're all I need. I've just now realized in the past 5 minutes that you're all I need. And if we end up getting married and it's only the two of us till the end of time and we don't have kids, then that's okay. How did you go from huge and all-encompassing, I can't compromise on this, to, oh no, it's okay if it's just the two of us? No, you just don't want to be alone. And you now realize that she can find another guy and you don't want her to. You gave her this ultimatum thinking she was going to see you getting all the galdom, so then she was going to change her mind. But in reality, she's the one who was getting all the bwidem and you were the one who was going to be left alone. Like, bruh, don't come up in here and act like you had this epiphany in 5 minutes. And I understand that this is edited together. So even if it was an hour, 2 hours, it doesn't matter. It was one dinner. You were sat at the table. Like, the end of episode 2 and the beginning of episode 3 were all filmed on the same day. It was one dinner. How long does it take to eat food? So I'm like, it's not like you were out here pondering this for days, weeks, months, years. No. You just said within the hour. So the way it's edited, it was 5 minutes apart. But even if without the edits, you saying huge and all-encompassing, and then you saying, oh no, it's okay if it's just the two of us, even if those two statements were in reality 2 hours apart instead of 5 minutes apart, it doesn't matter. You don't come to that epiphany in 2 hours. You don't, also, not even an epiphany. You don't change your mind about your whole entire future. Like, having a future with kids and having a future without kids are two completely different futures. Like, do you know how different my parents' lives would be if they didn't have me or my brothers? Like, you know what I'm saying? So you're seeing a completely different future for yourself in 2 hours? Like, boy, oh boy. And this is another thing. I'm sorry. I'm just going to skip to the reunion real quick. I know I said I was just going to talk about episode 2 and 3, but I'm sorry. I have to skip. So he claims, oh, it's okay if it's just the two of us. But then when we get to the reunion, we find that they compromise. So like, he wanted to have like bare children them, and she wanted to have 0. And then apparently their compromise was that they'd have 1 kid.
We have agreed to have 1 for now.
So I'm like, clearly when you were proposing and saying, oh, it's okay if it's just the two of us. No, it wasn't okay, because you still continued the conversation of having children after you left the show. So I'm like, you weren't okay not having children. You just knew that she'd say yes to your proposal. And then you're like, oh, we can figure out our problems later. But then you didn't even give her the option to figure out if she wanted to continue compromising with you, or conversing about a compromise with you, or figure out if she could have been happy with someone else who wasn't ready to have children either, or maybe wouldn't ever be ready to have children, right? So you robbed her of that opportunity to feel what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who isn't pressuring her to have kids. Because if you had let her have that experience, then maybe she would have come back to you and been like, I don't want to be with you anymore. I want to find someone who sees a similar future kids-wise as I do. So you didn't even let her have that experience. You robbed her of that experience, and then like, now as her fiance, now you're going to talk to her about having kids, and then she's like gonna break a little bit because she got what she wanted by getting a ring. And it's like, no. So like, I don't even know how to explain it. He did a complete 180 in like a 5-minute TV show time span, and in real life maybe it was 1 hour, in this very short time span. In one night, he went from what most attracts me about April, his second choice, by the way. What attracts me about April is how much she wants kids, and like, we see eye to eye on that. We're identical people. Like, having kids for me is huge and all-encompassing too. It's okay if it's just the two of us, Lauren. You just didn't want her to be with Colby. It's not that you wanted to be with Lauren. It's that you didn't want Lauren to be with Colby. That's all I have to say about that. And also, I just feel like after he proposed, and like, she obviously said yes, he goes back to his side of the table and he's just like smugly sipping his drink. And like, Colby kind of points this out, but like, I feel like he directs it wrong. Colby tries to like call out Lauren for like not being like super excited about the proposal. That's not the way I see it. I think Lauren was like happy, like, oh my gosh, my man wants to be with me, blah, blah, blah. If you look at Nate, he's not happy about the proposal. Like, he's not like overjoyed, like, oh my gosh, like, I just got engaged. Like, he's just like, yeah, I just got engaged. Sip my drink, like, yeah, Colby, you ain't getting my girl. She's staying with me. Like, he's just smug about it. He's not happy or like overjoyed and like jittery, like, wow, the love of my life just said yes to spending the rest of her life with me. Like, no, he's just like, yep, I did what I needed to do. Like, literally, if you look at the expression on his face after he proposes and sits back down, like, he's not like glowing. He's just sitting there like, yep, okay, I did what I needed to do. Now we're gonna get off this show, and then I'm going to annoy her some more about having some kids that she doesn't want. Like, boy, this Nate guy, the way he was portrayed on this show, what? No, I don't, I can't say I don't like him as a person because I don't know him. But the way he was portrayed on the show, if that is what he is like in real life, then I can say, Mr. Nate, I don't like you. Like, no, he frustrates me. I cannot. He only proposed to block his girlfriend. That's all it is. And also, if Hunter hadn't proposed to Alexis, like, just before that, because that's, like, against the rules. Like, the rule is you pick someone else other than you came with, right? So it's like, Nate seems to me to be like a rule follower, right? So if Hunter hadn't just broken the rule of proposing to his girlfriend, I don't think Nate would have proposed to Lauren. Like, rephrase. He still would have tried to prevent her from running away with Colby, but he wouldn't have done it with a proposal. I think he came up with the idea of a proposal because Hunter did. He just copied what Hunter did. Like, oh, I can get off the show without my girlfriend living with another man if I propose. Okay, I guess I'm going to do that. So there's so many factors to what went down that night. One, if he had gotten his first choice, Shanique, he literally, in my opinion, would not have cared if Lauren went away with Colby. Two, if Hunter hadn't proposed to Alexis, Nate would have tried to find a way to keep Lauren away from Colby, but not propose. He only proposed because he figured out that's an out because I just saw Hunter do it. So my guy he was only on the show for 2.5 episodes because him and Lauren leave the show because they don't have to finish the rest of the experiment because, oh, we got engaged, which was like the whole point of the show. Like, the whole point is to swap and then swap back and then hopefully get engaged to your original partner, right? But they skipped a few steps and they already got engaged, right? So they weren't on the show for the rest of it. So it's like, even though this man was only on the show for less than half of it, he has still invoked all this rage in me. Like, imagine if he was there the whole time. Do you know how angry I would be right now? Like, how did he was on the show for less than half of it, and this is how much I have to say. I don't know how long this video is, but look at how much I had to say about this one man who was on my TV screen for like less than 2 hours. Like, sir, in this one little 15-minute scene, look at how much content you gave me. Look at how much anger you evoked in me. Like, I cannot. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say about this particular section of the ultimatum. If you want me to continue talking about it, like if you want me to like talk about it like from the beginning, or like if you want me to talk about like each individual pairing, like before and after, let me know in the comments below, because I am telling you, I have so much to say about this show. But if this is going to be the only video I make about the ultimatum, this is what I had to talk about. I had to talk about this Nate man because no, he did too much in his very short time on this television program. So that's all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you think your friends will enjoy it, be sure to share it with them. All my social media links will be down below in case you want to follow me on there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make new videos every Monday. Thank you to my channel members, and be sure to check out one of these suggested videos, and I'll see you next Monday with a new video.